it was great to see so many beginning works, and we were particularly struck with the painting in this category. So there's some great watercolors, some excellent oil paintings, and those are both really hard for beginning students. And we were just really struck with that. And then we also have the 3D in another studio, which there was some great works in that as well. Throughout the show, there was a lot of humor too. You'll see it with different works, and we really appreciated that in some of the works as well. We tried to look, both at composition and how well the students executed the artwork with the materials that they had. We went through and looked at everything in each category. Kind of our initial like, we like this piece, had a Post-it note, and then we kind of came back and talked about the ones. A lot of them were the same, and some of them, like I had a preference for, Jim had a preference for, and then we would work out which ones, like, okay, well, I can agree with that one, or I have to disagree with that one. So we eventually came to a consensus. And there are, what, 400 works?
There's over 400 entries. So
400 entries, and we were told about 100, to pick about 100 to 120 or so pieces for the show, depending on sizes. So that means about 1 in 4 were able to make it in.
Like with the beginners in the other room, we were really impressed with and excited about a lot of the pieces that were here. It shows, both ability and a lot of imagination to come up with some different approaches and ideas than you might expect, and some interesting kind of combinations of materials, and just a whole variety of approaches if you look at these tables. So I think that was a great cross selection of things from this group.
It was nice to see some glass in here as well. So you can see there's the cup and a couple of other pieces of glass. And I know that glass blowing is very tricky, and so it was great to see those in so much sculpture, which is wonderful. And these I think were really successful, and we love this little surprise of color inside the bowl with the horse, and then the outside stamping too that happened with this piece as well. So this piece is just like a light, okay? So that was interesting. We thought maybe it would spin, but it didn't happen. But we're like, okay, it's a beginning spin. Okay. Not spinning yet, but okay. So anyway, so there you go. And this piece is really, it goes up. I won't lift it. It's very heavy, but it's cast, and it has some glass inside of it. And it's a really creative way to do the casting class in sculpture. So it was nice to see someone who kind of thought of that with a little bit of whimsy, because I kind of like the fact that it's supposed to be like a bouquet that comes up, but yet it's really heavy. So there's that dichotomy of the whimsy of the flowers and the lightness of flowers with the heaviness of the material. So that was a nice contrast for me.
With a lot of pieces, some great workmanship and really high quality, and especially, just kind of, it's hard to, because we haven't seen the other 3D stuff, but when we came here, we were really impressed with a lot of the 3D stuff. A variety of approaches, some books and the hatchets over here, and just in this middle part, I think we just saw real high level of quality with what was being done.
You'll notice there's a lot of ceramics, and it seemed to be, when we were just looking at what we picked, that we tried to pick forms that were less decorative, and that was just kind of, I guess, a matter of just us looking through and trying to find like a matter of what we liked, as jurors. So we kind of went for some simple forms in some respects, and we also kind of looked at what was necessary, was added decoration necessary to the purpose of the piece. So that's some questions you might have. We also really liked, as Jim said, the variety, the different wood bowls, and then we have the wood table, and then the churned bowl. We had some really interesting prints prints in here too, and some different techniques that others were exploring. We kind of had a big discussion about this particular painting over here with the women playing basketball. So that's kind of an interesting painting. All the audience is women too, and they kind of have this, I was saying, Olivia Newton-John kind of, somebody said 80s look to it. So we felt like that artist was trying to say something through that piece.
When we charge the jurors at the beginning of this, we do ask that they take a representative sampling of the whole display. We like to have a fair representation from each division, but because the divisions are different sizes, it's not like we say 25, 25, 25, 25, and if there's only one piece of, say, wearable art in the entire exhibit, doesn't mean that it guarantees that it gets in. But they are instructed to try to get, what a sample means to them. And so with these big sizes, I don't know exactly how the numbers will break down. But
we did with the 3D work, for example, let me just show you, this cup looks very simple, but it's really well made. We turned it over, looked at the bottom, made sure it was clear, clean. The weight of it's really nice. You can really hold it in your hand. So we did look at the functionality. This picture, I really love the detail on it, but one thing, if you were going to actually use it, it's just very heavy, and I think it would be hard to actually pour it. It would just be hard to use as a functional object. Even though it looks like a functional object, I would say it'd be more non-functional, unless you kind of grab it. So those are some of the things we looked at. With the jewelry, I would put stuff on and see how it felt and see how it hung, and I would hold the necklace up to Jim. And I said, this looks really good with your hair. But anyway, right? That one in the professional really did. It looks good. But anyway, so we did look at how is this supposed to work as an object? Does it hang right? Does it hang kind of off a little? So those are some of the things. With glass, is it going to be sharp? There was one piece of jewelry I really liked, but it had a really sharp edge, and I think if someone was wearing it, it really might have poked them. So. The advanced category, one thing that we really liked, there was some great corn imagery over here, and one of the things that we're thinking about as we're picking work is how is the work going to go together to make kind of a cohesive exhibit. And so we thought that this little abstract corn, which was here on the ground, is kind of small, paired with this very kind of realistic, wonderful interpretation of ears of corn, were a really great pair that kind of spoke about corn, but in two totally different ways. So that's just an example of some of the things we're like, that would be cool to put that piece next to that piece or nearby so that the two could speak to each other in a way. So.
And kind of carrying on from what we saw in the beginners category, there's a lot of really great watercolors. So both of those corn pieces are watercolor. So we're really impressed with the quality of the watercolors.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole spectrum.
There's some clever uses of materials in the advanced too. So there's someone who used cars, for example, and then someone who used plastic bottles. So it was nice to see a variety of approaches that were using non-traditional materials. Just as we were talking earlier about attention to detail, just want to show you this box. So the lid fits really well, and then it has this interior box that's really beautiful too. And then it rests inside here. So this is a great job of craftsmanship and design with this box. This bowl, we just love the color. Everyone see it? And the patterning in that. This is something you can just imagine in your home or brightening up a kitchen or something.
think one thing we kind of like a lot of in here is a lot of wood block prints. So you'll see several of those around here, and those are some of the standout things for us. Again, high level of quality here, but that was just sort of a trend that we noticed, and some more watercolor work that we connected with that kind of carried on through what we've been seeing with all the different groups.
We are really happy with the jewelry overall as well. I think jewelry had a good representation. And yeah, we probably judge this category a little more harsher just because it's a professional category.